We are Steven and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. Steven Jill here.
Howdy.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Steven Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about the state of land investment education out there online. Jill's like, what the heck is this about? It's shocking to see how many experts about buying and selling land there are out there lately.
I know. I bet we've created about 99.9% of them.
I'm sure of it.
Maybe 100% of them.
It's not just land. It's everything. It's just amazing how, the internet obviously is still super new. Like Facebook started in 2009? Not started, but became a thing. Mm-hmm. 8 or 9-ish, I think. So it's like 10 years old. And it's just amazing that
YouTube.
It taps into it just taps into some certain personality types, just their need to not only express their opinion, but be an expert on something when they're not. And it's just, I'm not complaining. I think it's funny. I really do.
The only thing that's kind of frustrating, it's kind of like we've been watching the news a lot over the last several weeks. We've all been watching a lot of news, right? Because of the obvious things going on. And it's funny how many, there looks like seemingly 19-year-olds talking about elections and history. I'm like, what? You mean the last election when you were in middle school? I have a real hard time swallowing that one, but it's funny.
I understand. Let's take the question and then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
I understand niches. We have a niche company, a bunch of niche companies actually. But it's just funny when, I understand a news station being niche for people under 25.
Yeah.
I have no issues with that. But when it starts to really seriously creep into the mainstream and it's just funny. Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members, on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
Lucas wrote, I want to share with everyone my thoughts on my current state with my land business, mostly just to get stuff off my chest. Love it. I haven't posted in a while because it's been a whirlwind of activity. Okay, usually that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's cool. First, the Land Academy support emails have been perfectly timed. I just got the week 5 email, sellers calling back, which covers handling inbound calls and hate. I've been amazed at the timing of these emails. Thank you very much. I would like to take some credit for that. They come into my inbox almost to the day that it's relevant for me. This has been a huge boost because it tells me that I'm on the right track with where I should be. Moving along quickly, but not too quickly. My first week of inbound calls has resulted in numerous emails and roughly 24 calls. About half of those have been hate, which has been awful to deal with.
Yep.
Between email and phone, probably 12 sellers interested in accepted offers. I'm finding that my offers made sense from comp to comp standpoint, but I really didn't factor in the rate of sales in that area, so I may not be able to sell as quickly as hoped. And also learning a lot about the variance that can be seen between zip codes within a given county. In future mailers, that will be definitely a big part of my pricing process. Simply overwhelmed with all these calls coming in over the last week, I just can't process them fast enough.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Struggling to make good contact with title companies, attorneys, and counties.
We all are
It's
right
tough
now.
because I work full-time, so I can't spend much time on the phone. Luckily, my wife has taken an interest and is willing to spend some time on the phone for me. Need to establish a few good relationships here. Hope he's not talking about his wife. You want to keep that relationship really good, especially if she's helping. Okay. Having to go back and lower some offers with sellers who've already accepted my first offer, which isn't fun but necessary. Oh, yeah. Very lucky to have an advanced member take some time and share pro tips and some guidance with me. Landinvestors.com is a lifesaver. Excited and looking forward to making an acquisition. can't shake the feeling that I'm going to mess up somehow.
I still have that.
Trying to keep focus on the goal and determined to push through this process. Mailers and data were easy for me. Dealing with the people is where I get stressed. Need a team. Thank you to this community.
You're doing great.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I mean, I think thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Lucas, right? I think it was.
Let's see. Every week I sit down and I look through land investors to do the questions and the topics, and there are just there's a staggering number of entries in the landinvestors.com website this week. So it's a good thing.
Exactly.
Today's topic, the state of land investment education online today. This is the meat of the show. I was on, I almost never go on Facebook, really on most of the social media, not intentionally. It's not my generation. We have an active presence out there mostly because we have a great team that manages it for Jill and I. Jill's a little more active than me, but I've been on there recently because of recent news events and current events, and it's just really it's shocking to me that when we started this, there were 2 or 3 education sources for buying and selling vacant land, and it was a huge struggle for Jill and I to communicate in the first year or so, maybe 2 years, that this is a viable business model. It was very questioned. Whereas flipping houses was something that was incredibly accepted and everybody loved it. Now it's the opposite.
Right.
And so it's just, my whole point to this whole topic is just like with anything, do some research and make sure you're comfortable and feel good with the group that you're in if you're going to buy and sell land. That's really my whole point to all of this, because there's a lot of noise out there. When Jill and I started this, there was not a single book on Amazon about buying and selling land as an investment. Now it's just you have to wade your way. I always say this, it's unfortunate for our children, although I think we're over it now, that they have to sift through so much crap in their lives. We grew up in the 70s and 80s, and it's like there just wasn't all this stuff that we had to sift through to find out what's right for us or what's real. And so I'm not complaining here. I'm just sharing. I'm just saying, now you just have to do an extra amount of research to find a group that fits for you.
That's what I think is the most important thing. Like, I just did a consulting call the other day with a really sweet guy, and he's in Texas, and he comes to us like a lot of people do from another group. And it was interesting because at the end of the call, I was talking about deeds and, my staff, and sometimes things go wrong. And that's why you're a good person. You are having good relationship with your sellers and your buyers and everything, because you never know when you need to go back to them and go, we goofed. I need to redo this deed. It just got returned. I kind of thing. No big deal. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he said, that right there is why I'm in this group. And I'm like, what? He's like, I need to be part of a group that I feel good about my business. This shocked the heck out of me, by the way. I feel good about what I do. I feel good about my business. I feel good that I'm helping people, meaning sellers. I'm like, yeah, that's the whole point here.
Yeah, me too.
When we're doing our day-to-day thing, it's not just about our community and our members, but the people that I buy and sell land to. I want everybody to feel good about it. I want my sellers to feel good about it. And they do. They're like, thank you so much. You solved a problem. I didn't know how I was going to put food on the table next month. I can't wait to get rid of this property. And that way, if I needed to, right, like this situation I was explaining, we had to go back to the seller and say, yeah, we goofed. We're going to send you a new deed. Do you mind going to the bank? Or when you're in the bank next time, just get it notarized. No big deal, kind of thing, and just mail it to us. And they're like, sure, how can I help? No problem. And then all the way to my buyers, when I'm selling the property, I'm properly portraying what it is, with beautiful pictures and telling them, and I want them to feel great about the purchase, knowing that they're not getting raked over the coals. I'm not selling it at retail. I'm not buying at retail, and I'm not selling at retail. So everybody feels great. And he said, that's a lot of this group. And I'm like, that was really interesting to me.
Over the years, I've described, just talk to people, whether they're members, non-members, some former members, some people that are thinking about joining us, and then finally just like people that are in the real estate industry and have no interest in Land Academy, but we're sitting there over a beer talking about it. And you get the myriad of reactions when you talk about this. And you can tell I can tell immediately when somebody will fit well in our group, because they take they take a huge interest in the data component to this, just like the person who wrote
Lucas.
this question. Yeah. And so I get the reactions you get are just hilarious. Like, well, that sounds like a scam. To one of my favorites is, and it's very prevalent, probably half the people that I say this to, they respond and say, well, can't I just give you $10,000?
Oh, that's funny.
That's my favorite, because then I know there's no chance that they're ever going to do anything ever with anyone, with any group, or not let alone Land Academy. They're just not interested in learning about what this is. The best possible reaction you can get is now, wait a minute, you sent blind offers by thousands to specific custom offers to people that own property. And then for what you said, $1,500 to $2,000, everyone signs it and sends it back, within reason, regardless of the price that you put on there. Okay, well, wait a second. And then they put their drink down or whatever, and they say, tell me how you do this again. That person who wants to know what the next step is and immediately understands that this is predictable and consistent, and there's a data component too. And now what they're doing is working out the details in their head. That is the person that's going to do well here.
Well, I was going to finish my example earlier. I was talking about the person that said, that's why I'm in this group. So what's interesting, and I think ties into this is my point of this whole episode here, is that I told this person, please don't feel bad. It said, you know what? I came from a group that was costing me a fortune. And I'm explaining this in a minute. And then I found your group. And not only are you not like I can't believe you don't charge anything like this, number one. And number two, you guys are the right people. You're a good fit for me. But I was made a point to tell the person that don't ever feel bad. I don't want anybody to feel bad. I'm sure you got some good education out of it.
Yeah.
No matter where you go or what you learn, if you learn something, that's good, right? And this person said, yeah, I came from an environment where they weren't as helpful. There's a whole lot of money, like $10,000 for a first plan, a step-by-step checklist. First, you have to buy a program. Then you got to spend $10,000 for this. Oh, and then wait, there's more. Then if you want to really take it to the next level, it's like $49,000.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, okay, and he's telling me how much he's spending a month right now. I'm like, that's your mailer money. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what that is. So we talked about, ways to, I don't know if you can get out of it, but I'm like, you got to come up with some mailer money. That's money. That should be your money spending on your properties and stuff at this point. He said, I know. And I'm going to do that. That
person's perception, what you said earlier about having some respect for the seller and the buyer and all that, mm-hmm. You can tell that educator doesn't really have a lot of respect for the people who they're teaching. Just to blindly,
a little bit of
that. That's the same amount of respect they have for the people who they're buying real estate from.
Right.
If they're going to grossly overcharge and constantly try to upsell you on something, then that's not respecting anything.
I'll end it on this for me. I can't believe I have to make this statement. It's important to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter if you're really helping someone, help them.
Right.
It comes through. Hey, I'm convinced. I'm sorry. I am flat out convinced, and I know this to be true, that some of the deals that I get, I'm like making friends with a woman right now. I may or may not buy her property. It's so flippin' funny. It's it's north of us, in a state not too far north of us right now, that I'm dealing with her, and she had a cabin on there and burned down. She's showing me pictures. She's like, I'm sorry, I've been so busy. I didn't get back to you, because I'm reaching out to her one last time saying, do you want to sell or not? Kind of thing. I thought we were kind of going that way. I like the property. Of course, obviously, my business is not, dependent on this property, but I was reaching out to her one more time. And she's like, I'm sorry, Jill, I've been so busy. And she sent me a picture of what she's been busy with this beautiful horse. And I'm like,
how great is that?
Holy cow, it's gorgeous. And what's funny is she's a broker. She's a real estate broker, but she doesn't do land. She does other stuff. And she said, the reason I could buy this horse is because the cabin on the property that you and I are talking about, which is 60 acres, the cabin burned down. I took the insurance money, didn't rebuild the cabin, but bought a horse. I'm like, that's funny. So we're kind of making friends. So, you know, if you go into everything like that, especially if you run your business like that, your life is going to be so much easier. It is transparent that you're a good person doing the right thing. You're going to get sellers that say, I just want to do business with you, you know, and buyers that say, I just want to do business with you, and everything's going to be easy.
Yep.
You
I'm
like
happy.
that?
Yeah,
Happy you could join us today. You have anything to follow up with?
I don't know what else.
Yeah.
What else to say? I think that all of us have had multiple math classes over our lives, and I'm sure. I'm just choosing math because I liked it, but I can think of 2 teachers that I really connected with, of the maybe 20 or so math teachers I've had over my life.
Good example.
And for whatever reason, I don't remember the other ones at all. I just didn't connect with them, or I don't think that they cared or didn't show up or whatever. I mean, it'd be hard to show up as a regular teacher. Hard for me anyway. Half the people don't care to even be there. And so you connect with that person, and that's what you remember. So the importance is not to choose, the importance is this. Wherever you choose to get educated, because it's not cheap, just make sure that you're connecting with the people that are in the group and the instructors, you know. And for me personally, and I think Jill too, it's just when somebody's 19 years old teaching a class, it's just there's a lot of credibility that gets lost there.
Teacher's aide. I know. It's pretty hard with the teacher's aide, like that. My news example gets up there and talks about past elections. I'm like, how do you know about past elections? This is your first election. Look how old you are. This is the first time you could vote.
Look, there's always exceptions, and I'm sure when I was that age, I was probably mad at people saying what I'm saying right now. But there's no replacement for experience.
Ding, ding. Happy you could join us today. Monday through Friday, you can find us right here on the Land Academy Show.
Tomorrow, the episode on the Land Academy Show is called Self-Study Discipline Sets You Apart from Everyone Else. You are not alone in your real estate ambition. Self-study is not for everybody.
It's true. I like it. I did.
I love it too.
Like when I first took a college online class, and I got the syllabus, and I found out self-study meant I can work ahead and like coast. That's like I work ahead and coast, like done, and done. That's what I do, and I'm like, this is awesome. But I know for a lot of people, they're like, I can do nothing. I'll just throw it together at the end, which is that is like makes me panic and sweat. But I get it. I'd love to hear what you are.
I love self-study.
No, but what are you a work ahead, get the assignments done, or are you I'll just leave it there? What those are all due on the on the 30th? Well, I'll look at it on the 29th.
I can very honestly and very clearly state that my level of interest in the topic or the subject dictates exactly how I'm going to deal with it. And I can list down with you all the academic subjects that I will never have any interest in and probably not crack a book on. And I'll just show up for the test and get a C, and that's it.
That answers my question. Not even the 29th, maybe on the 30th. And we're just going to let the chips fall where they may.
However, if you have to write a paper, I'll write the paper the first day, if it's a paper thing.
Oh, interesting.
But if it's reading a book and learning it that way and all that, no, I'm not going to do anything. I won't even read the book.
It's hilarious.
I will get a C in the class.
And
I'll be happy about it.
I should show the book that I'm reading right now. And you said, Jill, I'll be happy to, when you're done with it, will you please let me know? I'll show my book. All right. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you find our content valuable, and we really do appreciate your support. If you haven't already, please zip on over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the type of content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest in future shows.
We are Steven Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.